acts of reparation, you must know that everything I did in the course of 33 years, from when I was born up to when I died, I am continuing in the sacrament of the altar. Therefore I want you to visit me 33 times a day, honoring my years and also uniting with me in the sacrament with my own intentions, that is, reparation, adoration. You shall do this at all times. With the first thought of the morning, fly before the tabernacle in which I am present for love of you. And visit me, and also with the last thought of the evening, while you sleep at night, before and after your meal, at the beginning of each one of your actions, while walking. Working. Volume 04 October 10, 1900 My daughter, what you say is not a chastisement, nor does this happen to you because of your fault. Rather, you must know that for two reasons alone can the soul go out of the body, by force of pain, which happens at natural death, or by force of the reciprocal love between the soul and me. In fact, when this love is so strong, that neither could the soul last, nor could I endure for too long without enjoying her, I keep drawing her to myself, and then I put her in her natural state again, and the soul, drawn more than by an electric wire, comes and goes as I please. And here is how what you think is a chastisement, is finest love. Volume 04 April 4, 1902 Louisa speaks. As soon as they saw me, they wanted to swallow me, but I said to them, let me speak, and then do to me whatever you want. You must know that if you reach your intent of destroying every moral good pertaining to religion, virtue, dependency and social welfare, without realizing your mistake, you would also destroy all corporal and temporal goods. 2 Volume 06 March 12, 1924 My daughter, courage in suffering. I do not want you to afflict yourself in seeing yourself not yet taken to heaven. You must know that all Europe lays on your shoulders, and the good or bad outcome for Europe depends on your sufferings. If you are strong and constant in suffering, things shall be more bearable. If you are not strong and constant in suffering, or if I take you to heaven, things shall be so grave that Europe shall be threatened with invasion and of being seized by foreigners. Volume 08 March 15, 1908 My daughter, do not want to trouble yourself. You must know that when there is a strong storm in the sea, where the waters are deep the storm is only superficial. The depths of the sea are in the most perfect calm, the waters remain tranquil, and the fish, when they detect the storm, go to nest where the water is deeper so as to be safer. So, the whole storm unloads itself where the sea contains very little water, because since there is little water, the storm has the strength to agitate it from top to bottom, and even to transport it elsewhere, to other points of the sea. Volume 09 October 29, 1910 My daughter, I was scourging and destroying cities and burying human lives. This is why I have not come on this day of respite, for then I shall take up the scourge in my hand once again. Immediately I have come to see you again. You must know that if I did not reward the things done with purity of intention, the upright works, and everything that is done for love of me, I would fail a duty of justice, and all of my other attributes would remain obscured. Therefore, these are the three most powerful weapons to destroy this poisonous and infernal slobber of disturbance. Volume 09 November 9, 1909 You must know that since you have done your things together with me, that is, you have loved me with my love, you have adored me with my adorations, you have repaired me with my own reparations, and so with all the rest, things are immense in you, just as my own, and this union in operating has three-formed this organ. However, every time you suffer something more, you add one more key, and I immediately come to play my little sonata, to see what sound this new key produces, and I enjoy one more amusement. Volume 10 December 25, 1910 However, you must know that this sorrow of mine is still lasting, because the priests of these times have banded together with the priests of those times. They have been holding hands in their attachments to families, to interest, to exterior things, and they care very little, or not at all, about that which is interior. Even more, some have degraded themselves so much as to make even secular people understand how unhappy they are with their state, lowering their dignity down to the bottom, and below the secular themselves. Volume 10 November 18, 1911 What you are saying is false, my daughter. If I did not keep you as though bound, you would get up. What is the meaning of your not being able to move by yourself? Of needing others in your things? Is this not a sign that I keep you bound? Having released you from the bonds of my presence, my love uses different devices to keep you bound with me. You must know that true crucifixion does not consist of being crucified in your hands and feet, but in all the particles of your soul and body. Volume 11, July 23, 1912. You must know that when you do not feel anything from your heart, I pull your heart into my heart and I keep it there, resting in sweet sleep, while I enjoy it. If you feel it, then the enjoyment is together. If you let me do, after I have given you rest in my heart and enjoyed in you, I shall come to rest within you and I shall make you enjoy the contentments of my heart. Volume 11, October 14, 1912. You must know that everything I do to the chosen souls is sealed with the seal of the Eternal One, and there is no power that can take the work of my grace away from the chosen soul. 4 Volume 11, August 27, 1913. Furthermore, what you say is not true. What's the purpose of my state? You must know that, for the soul who really does my will, the virtue of my will is so great that if I get close to the place where that soul is in order to send chastisements, finding there my will and my own love, I don't feel like punishing myself in that soul, rather, I remain wounded and I faint. So, instead of chastising, I throw myself in the arms of that soul, who contains my will and my love. I rest and I remain all cheered. Volume 11, September 3, 1913. You must know that when I place the soul in my will, and she takes stable residence in my volition, the soul feels that she has everything in abundance, since my will contains all possible imaginable goods, so she puts herself in my same conditions, feeling the need to give rather than to receive. She feels that she does not need anything, and if she wants something, she can take anything she wants, without even asking for it. Since my will contains an irresistible force to give, she is happy only when she gives, and as she gives, she remains even more thirsty for giving. In what constraints she finds herself when she wants to give and cannot find anyone to whom to give. Volume 11, August 3, 1916. My daughter, good is always good. Even more, you must know that each prayer, each reparation, each act of love, any holy thing that the creature does, is one more paradise that she acquires. So, the simplest holy act shall be one more paradise, one act less, a paradise less. In fact, every good act comes from God. Volume 12, April 2, 1917. You must know that souls are so bound to me as to form many links connected together within my humanity. As souls are lost, they break these links, and I feel the pain as if one member were detaching itself from the other. Now, who can connect these links together? Who can weld them, in such a way as to make the split disappear? Who can make them enter into me again, in order to give them life? The pains of my privation, because they are divine. My pain for the loss of 5 souls is divine, the pain of the soul who cannot see me or feel me is divine. Since they are both divine pains, they can kiss each other, be linked to each other, stand before each other, and have such power as to catch the escaped souls and link them in my humanity. Volume 12, July 25, 1917. You must know that the most noble, the most sublime, the greatest and most heroic act is to do my will, and to operate in my volition. At this act, which no one else can equal, I display the pomp of all my love and generosity. As soon as the soul decides to do it, in the act in which the two wills meet to be fused into each other and become one, to give her the honor of keeping her in my volition, if she is stained, I purify her. If the thorns of human nature envelope her, I shatter them, and if some nail pierces her, that is, sin, I pulverize it. Because nothing evil can enter my will. Volume 12, March 16, 1918. You must know that I was inside your heart, and as you were doing your acts, your prayers, your reparations, pouring yourself into my will and loving me, I took everything for myself, and I used it to nourish myself and to embellish my garment with precious diamonds. This is so true that, as you were loving me, praying me, and so on, I did not remain on an empty stomach as if you were doing nothing. I was the one who took everything, since you gave me full freedom. Now, when the soul does so, I cannot rest when she is in need, I make myself all for her. Tell me, then, what do you want? Volume 12, August 12, 1918. You must know that if you did not need anything, I would let the peoples die of starvation. But because you need it, since it can serve your necessities, I give the necessary things to creatures for love of you and because of you. Volume 12 March 6, 1919 You must know that before calling the creature to definitively to live in my volition, I call her every now and then, I strip her of everything, I make her undergo a sort of judgment. Because in my will there are no judgments, things remain 6 fully confirmed with me. Judgment is outside of my will. But whatever enters into my will, who can ever dare to place it under judgment? I never judge myself. Volume 13 June 2, 1921 My daughter, if I want this sacrifice, you must be ready to make it, you must deny me nothing. Now, you must know that, in coming upon earth, I came to manifest my celestial doctrine, to make known my humanity, my fatherland, and the order which the creature had to maintain in order to reach heaven, in a word, the gospel. But I said almost nothing or very little about my will. I almost passed over it, only making them understand that the thing which I cared the most was the will of my Father. I said almost nothing about its qualities, about its height and greatness, and about the great goods which the creature receives by living in my volition. Because the creature was too much of an infant in celestial things, and would have understood nothing. I just taught her to pray, Fiat voluntas tua, sicut in colo et in terra, so that she might dispose herself to know this will of mine in order to love it, to do it, and therefore receive the gifts it contains. Volume 13 August 13, 1921 You must know that as you think in my will, as you speak, as you work, as you love, etc., you deliver to my will as many children for as many thoughts as you make, for as many words as you say, for as many works and acts of love as you emit. These children multiply to the infinite in my will and make their round throughout heaven and through the entire earth, bringing new joy, new glory and contentment to heaven, and new grace to the earth, going through all hearts, carrying my sighs, my moans, the pleas of their mother who wants them saved, and who wants to give them her life. Volume 13 September 2, 1921 You must know that I acted with you as a king who begins to love a friend, who is very dissimilar from him in status, but his love is so great that he has decided to make him similar to himself. Now, this king cannot do everything at once and render his friend like himself, rather, he does it little by little. First he prepares a royal palace for him, similar to his own, then 7 he sends the adornments to decorate the royal palace. He forms a little army for him, then he gives him half of his kingdom, so as to be able to say, what you possess, I possess. King am I, king are you. Volume 13 September 6, 1921 You must know that every time I manifest to you one more truth about my will, it is one more bond that I form between you and me, and with the whole human family. It is a greater union, it is a tighter link, it is sharing my inheritances, and as I manifest them I form the deed of donation, and in seeing my children richer and sharing in the inheritance, I feel new contentments and I make feast. Volume 13 September 16, 1921 Afterwards, coming back again, as I was fusing all of myself in the divine will, he told me, dearest daughter of my will, I anxiously await your fusions in my will. You must know that as I thought in my will, I kept molding your thoughts in my will, preparing the place for them. As I worked, I molded your works in my will, and so with all the rest. Now, whatever I did not do for myself since I did not need it, but for you. This I why I await you in my will, that you may come and take the places which my humanity prepared for you. And over my moldings, come and do yours. Only then am I content and I receive complete glory, when I see you do what I did. Volume 13 October 13, 1921 You must know that great things have I manifested to you about my will, but you have not yet masticated them well and digested them, in such a way as to take all the substance, so as to form the whole mass of blood in your soul. Once you have formed all the substance, I shall come back again, and I shall manifest to you other things, more sublime, about my will. And while I wait for you to digest them well, I shall keep you occupied on other truths that belong to me, so that, if creatures do not want to avail themselves of the sea, of the sun of my will in order to come to me, they may make use of the little fountains of the channels, to come to me and take, for their own good, the things that belong to me. 8 Volume 13 October 27, 1921 You must know that my will must be like the soul to the body. See, this happens also within us, the three divine persons. Our love is great, infinite and eternal, but if we did not have a will that animates and gives life to this love, our love would be without life, without works. Our wisdom seems incredible, our power can crush everything in 1 minute, and in another minute it can redo everything. But if we did not have a will that wanted to manifest the mastery of our wisdom, as it manifested it in the creation, in which it ordered and harmonized everything, and with its power it made it fixed in such way that it cannot move one bit, both wisdom and power would have had nothing to do, and so with all the rest of our attributes. Volume 13, November 4, 1921. In fact, you must know that many electric wires of communication and union pass between creature and creator, which render her almost inseparable from me, provided that she has not withdrawn from my will, because withdrawing is nothing other than snapping the wires of communication, and breaking the union. The life of the Creator, more than electricity, flows within the creature, and she flows within me. My life is spread within the creature. In creating her, I linked my wisdom to her intelligence, so that her intelligence might be nothing but the reflection on mine, and if man reaches such great extent with his science, as to seem incredible, it is because the reflection of mine is reflected in his. If his eye is animated by a light, it is nothing other than the reflection of my eternal light being reflected in his eye. Volume 13, December 3, 1921. Now, you must know that the greater is the work I want to do, the more preparations are needed. How many prophecies, how many preparations, how many centuries did not precede my redemption? How many symbols and figures did not anticipate the conception of my celestial Mama? Then, after I accomplished redemption, I had to strengthen man in the goods of redemption, and for this I chose the apostles as the strengtheners of the fruits of redemption, as they were to look for the lost man and led him to safety by means of the sacraments. 9 Volume 13, December 5, 1921. Even more. You must know that every time you manifest one additional value of my will, I feel so much contentment that I love you with multiplied love. Volume 14, February 4, 1922. You must know that in creating man I released a quantity of love from within my divinity which was to serve as primary life of the creatures, so that they might be enriched, sustained, strengthened, and helped in all of their needs. But man rejected this love, and my love has been wandering from the time man was created, and it keeps going round without ever stopping. Rejected by someone, it runs to someone else in order to give itself, and as it is rejected, it bursts into sobs. So, lack of correspondence causes the sobbing of love. Volume 14, March 10, 1922. But you must know that since my will dominates everything, is everywhere, sustains everyone, is known in heaven, on earth and even by demons, there is no one who can oppose it. In the same way, the soul who does my will must dominate everything, be everywhere, sustain everything, and I want her to be known by all. Volume 14, March 13, 1922. On hearing this, the confessor told me, you must know that when Jesus speaks to you and manifests his truths to you, rays of light drop upon you. Back then, when you manifested them to me, not having his virtue, you manifested them drop by drop, and yet my soul remained all filled with those drops of light. That light gave me greater spur, more desire to hear more truths, to be able to receive more light, because the truths bring celestial fragrance and divine sensation, and this, by just hearing them. What shall it be for those who practice them? This is why I loved, I desired so much to hear what Jesus told you, and I wanted to tell others. It was light and fragrance that I felt, and I wanted others to share in them. If you knew the great good that my soul has received in hearing the truths which Jesus was saying to you, how it still drips with light, and emanates celestial fragrance, which not only gives me refreshment, but serves as light to me and to those who are near me. And as you do your acts in the divine volition, I take special part in them, because I feel the seed of his most holy will which you were sowing in me. Volume 14, April 13, 1922. How happy I am of your triple affirmation. Do not fear, these are nothing but reassurances, reaffirmations and confirmations, so as to impress in you the triple seal of the will of the three divine persons. You must know that the one who lives in my will must rise up high, but so high as to live in the womb of the most holy Trinity. Your life and ours must be one. Volume 14, July 28, 1922. You must know that also my humanity, as holy as it was, and immensely eager to suffer, felt this repugnance. But it was not mine, it was all the repugnance that creatures felt in doing good and in accepting the pains which they deserved. And I had to suffer these pains which tortured me not a little, in order to give them the inclination to good, and to render their pain sweeter, to the point that in the garden I cried out to the Father, "If it is possible, let this chalice pass from me." Do you think it was I? Ah, no, you deceive yourself. I loved suffering to folly, I loved death to give life to my children. It was the cry of the whole human family that echoed in my humanity, and I, crying out together with them to give them strength, repeated as many as 3 times, "If it is possible, let this chalice pass from me." I was speaking in the name of all, as if it were my own thing, but I felt crushed. Volume 14, August 12, 1922. Now, you must know that my will is most pure gold. And so that the thread of your will may become of most pure gold, in such a way that, as the thread of your will is braided with mine, that which is yours and that which is mine may not be distinguished, it takes only sacrifice and pains. Consuming the thread of your human will, they substitute it with the golden divine thread which, identifying itself with mine, forms one single thread, and braiding the great wheel of eternity, extends everywhere and finds itself in every place. 11 Volume 14, September 27, 1922. You must know that the leaders of the nations are conspiring together to destroy the peoples and to plot troubles against my church, and to obtain the intent, they want to use the help of foreign powers. The point in which the world finds itself is terrible. Therefore pray and be patient. Volume 14, October 27, 1922. This is my usual way. First I fecundate my works, I form them within me, and at the appropriate time I deliver them. Even more, you must know that my humanity contained 2 generations within itself, the children of darkness and the children of light. I came to rescue the first ones, and so I gave out my blood in order to save them. Volume 14, November 6, 1922. You must know that what my will was, it is and shall be, it has changed in nothing. But as it manifests itself, it makes known the variety of the colors, effects and values it contains, and it does not just make itself known, but it gives to the soul the variety of its colors, effects and values, otherwise, why make them known? My will acted like a great lord who showed his most extensive and sumptuous palace. To the first ones he pointed out the way in order to reach his palace, to the second the door, to the third the stairs, to the fourth the first rooms, and to the last ones he opened all the rooms, making them the owners and giving them all the goods which are in it. Volume 14, November 11, 1922. Little daughter of my will, this immense light that you see is my supreme will, from which nothing escapes. You must know that as I created the heavens, the sun, the stars, etc., for all I fixed the limits, the place and the number, and they can neither increase nor decrease. I hold all things in the palm of my hand. In the same way, in creating man, at the same time I created all intelligences and each thought, all words, works, steps, and all the rest of man, from the first to the last who shall exist. And this was as though natural in me, more so, since I myself was to be the actor and spectator of even one thought. Since man would not be able to do it without me, how could I not know it, and know also their number? 12 Volume 14, November 20, 1922. You must know that in creating man I fixed many currents of love between me and him. Having created him was not enough for me. No, I was to place so many currents of love between myself and him that there was to be not one part of him in which these currents would not flow. Therefore in the intelligence of man ran the current of love of my wisdom, in his eyes ran the current of love of my light, in his mouth, the current of love of my word, in his hands, the current of love of the sanctity of my works, in his will, the current of love of mine, and so with all the rest. Man was made to be in continuous communications with his Creator, and how could he be in communication with me if my currents would not run in his? Volume 15, March 12, 1923. I remained alone, and the divinity was as though separated from me. Oh, how I felt this privation! But this was necessary. You must know that when the divinity delivered the work of creation, it also delivered all the glory, all the goods and happiness that each creature was to receive, not only in this life, but also in the celestial fatherland. Now, all the part which was destined to lost souls remains suspended, having no one to whom to give itself. Volume 15, April 14, 1923. Beloved daughter of my will, you must know that when I want to do great works, works in which the whole human family is to partake, always if it wants to, my usual way is to centralize all the goods and all the graces which this work contains in one single creature, so that all others may draw as much as they want of that good, as though from a fount. When I do individual works, I give limited things, but when I do works which must serve for the general good, I give things without limit. Volume 15, March 18, 1923. Furthermore, you must know that, in creating man, our supreme will was that he live in our volition, and having to live in it, he was to take all that is ours, living at our expense, repaying our will with as many divine acts for as many human acts as he did in our will. This, in order to enrich him with all the goods 13 which our will contains. But man wanted to live in his will, at his own expense, and so he exiled himself from his fatherland, losing all these goods. So these goods remained without heirs, they were immense, and nobody possessed them. Volume 15, July 1, 1923. And the one who is willing to listen to me forms my joy and my delight in conversing with her. You must know that when I manifest one truth of mine which is not yet known, it is a new creation that I do, and I love very much to unleash from me the many goods and secrets which I contain. But as much as I say, since I am the ever-new act, which never repeats itself, I always desire to say more, and as I speak, I have always more new things which I would like to say, because the new is never exhausted in me. I am always new in love, new in beauty, new in contentments and in harmonies, new in everything and always new. And this is why I never tire anyone. I have always new things to say. And the irresistible force which pushes me to manifest myself is my love. I delivered creation from an outpouring of love. All that can be seen in the whole universe was all inside of me. But love made the shadow of my light overflow from my interior. And so I created the sun, the shadow of my immensity and of my harmonies. And so I stretched out the heavens, harmonizing them with many stars and celestial spheres. These and other things which I created were nothing but shadows unleashed from me, and so my love had its outpouring, and I took great delight in seeing all that was contained in me, spread out in little particles, flowing upon all creation. Volume 15, July 5, 1923. My daughter, everything is profound mysteries and sublime teachings in my life, in which man must reflect himself in order to imitate me. You must know that the pride of the Jews, especially in the fake sanctity they professed, for which they were considered to be upright and conscientious men, was so great that they believed that by just presenting me themselves, and by saying that they had found me at fault and guilty of death, Pilate would have to believe them, and condemn me without making them undergo any interrogation, more so, since they were dealing with a Gentile judge, who had no knowledge of God or conscience. 14 Volume 15, July 11, 1923. You must know that this fulfillment of my will is so great that it numbers among the greatest works the divinity has ever operated. And I want it to be known, so that in knowing its greatness and the immense goods it contains, souls may esteem it and desire it. 3 times did the divinity decide to operate, ad extra. The first was in creation, and it was without intervention of the creature, since none of them had yet come to daylight. The second was in redemption, and with it intervened a woman, the holiest, the most beautiful, my celestial Mama. She was the channel and the instrument I used in order to fulfill the work of redemption. The third is the fulfillment of my will, that it be done on earth as it is in heaven, that the creature may live and operate with the sanctity and the power of our own will, a work inseparable from creation and redemption, just as the most holy Trinity is inseparable. Nor can we say that the work of creation is completed, if our will, as we decreed, does not act in the creature and live with the freedom, sanctity and power with which it acts and lives in us. Even more, this is the most beautiful point, the most radiant and high, and the seal of the fulfillment of the work of creation and of redemption. Volume 16, August 13, 1923. Now, you must know that a simple creature broke the relations which existed between the divine will and the creature, and this split destroyed the plans which God had in the creation of man. Now, a simple creature, the Virgin Queen of all, although endowed with many graces and privileges, but still a mere creature, was given the office to bind again, to be tested by, and to place herself in relation with the will of her Creator, in order to repair the first split of the first creature. A woman, the first one, a woman, the second one. Volume 16, September 21, 1923. Even more, you must know that the first one to make justice of you was my love. How many trials did it not make you go through in order to be certain of your love? The second one was the cross, which made severe justice of you, to the extent that my will, drawn by my love and by the cross, wanted to descend into you and make you live in it. But also my will did 15 not want to be outdone by my love and by the cross, and to be more certain, it jealously withdrew, making justice of you, to see whether you would continue your flights in my will without me. Volume 16, October 20, 1923. You must know that the soul is my field in which I work, sow and harvest, but my favorite field is the soul who lives in my will. In this field my work is delightful. I do not get covered in mud when I sow, because my will has converted it into a field of light. Its earth is virgin, pure and celestial. And I amuse myself very much in sowing little lights in it, almost like a dew which forms the sun of my will. Oh,